Hello everybody, it's Ron over here at Becoming Enlightened Together. We have another rune pull for you today. This one's a little bit of a twist. The energy basically goes into greater detail about the karmics, which is not that unusual for my rune pulls. But it talks about how some of them, at least, one or more, may actually be finding their way out of this karmic mess. Finally doing the work or doing the necessary, release and surrendering and sacrificing necessary to find their way out of the mess that they've created for themselves. That doesn't mean they're not going through a lot of the karma. They've been going through karma for some time, some of these people. And it looks like there's a few others here that are probably not going to learn their lesson. And unfortunately, what it's indicating is what we've seen several times over the last couple of months. And that we're talking about giving the ultimate sacrifice, so to speak. Okay? So the overall energy for the week is the same as it was the last couple of days and all the way up till Saturday night, which is Lagus in the upright. Lagus in the upright stands for water-based aspects, if you will, of both the materialistic and you can say the higher sense realms. In other words, your psychic abilities, your intuition, things of that nature. So it talks about all things water, rivers, lakes, streams, the ocean, the way it flows, the ebbs and flows, if you will. But it also relates again to motions, as anything water related in divination typically is speaking of. So it also refers to the divine feminine, the psychic feminine, or psychic femininity, the feminine aspect of the yin and yang. We'll just use it in that light so most people can understand it. They see those things as being opposites, but they're really not. They're complementary energies. It's basically what one lacks, the other has, and vice versa, if you will. So masculine and feminine, in order to make a complete something, you have the combination of both of those energies combined. So they're not opposites, as a lot of people would, indicate when they talk about things like the yin and yang and so on. All right, so it also talks about a fertility source, again, in reference to the feminine aspect. Healing power, renewal, life energy, talks about organic growth, the imagination, all things psychic matters, fantasies, mysteries, the unknown, the hidden, the deep, the underworld, as well as success in travel and acquisition. Okay, so overall it's an extremely positive rune. Now, as far as the past energy, what we pulled for today, on Sunday when I did a complete week's reading in advance, we got Nauthis, but Nauthis was in the reverse. Now, Nauthis in the reverse talks about going in the wrong direction. Again, what we typically see when we talk about karmics. They're going the wrong way. They're doing the wrong thing. They're thinking the wrong way and all that kind of stuff. They're very possessive. They're it's some form of distress once their karma starts to kick in, trying to lead them out of the mess or at least get them to consider that they are making bad decisions. So a sense of being in toil and drudgery. Also an inappropriate constraint of freedom, somebody wanting to imprison, enslave, hold captive in some way. Laxity, their needs and necessities not being met, extremity or extremes, want and deprivation, possibly starvation and poverty, and emotional hunger. Okay, they want and they're so used to fulfilling their materialistic endeavors and everything else that they have forgotten there is an infinite range of things that are far greater than the materialistic. Okay, and once the materialistic things are taken away, that shatters their entire existence. They can't live without the latest and greatest friggin' phone or car or latest style in clothing or whatever. They're just completely enslaved to the idea of what their friends and other people think about them. So, and we see that echoed here in these readings again and again. So the present energy is Urus in the reverse. So it's upside down. Okay. Now, Urus in the reverse talks about a weak will, having very low energy, possible illnesses, sicknesses, missed opportunities, again, weakness, obsessions, misdirected forces, domination by others. So we see that theme again. Lust, inconsistency, ignorance, brutality, violence, rashness, and callousness. Now, this may be their pre-state. This may be the state of certain karmics who just refuse to learn their lessons. Well, we're going to see as we progress that at least some among them are changing their evil ways, as the song goes from Santana. Okay. Now, as far as the obstacles and the challenges are concerned, what we have is Canas. And Canas, in this case, is also in the reverse. It talks about the termination of something, possibly having to face up to one's death. We see that theme yet again. And not many of these runes speak about death, so the fact that we've been getting these same runes in the same reversed situation shows me that beyond a doubt that this is going to happen to somebody we know, or whether we are aware of it or not, that's another story, but somebody that we know or that's in our energetic sphere of influence is going to pass away, it looks like. So giving up the old, again, diseases, breakups, instability, lack of creativity, nakedness. In other words, you're being exposed. Things done in secret are now being brought out into the open for all to see. There's no more illusions of false hope or anything of that nature. Everything you thought you were getting away with and may have gotten away with for quite a long time. And this is the way it happens over and over. God just, He's going to give you a large friggin' leash, and with the hopes that you'll change before He has to yank on that thing back. But some people, they take the entire length and try to take more with no sign whatsoever they plan on actually changing. So that's where we're at this point. A couple have, at the very last second, it looks like, decided to reevaluate their life and their life decisions. So, but for the most part, we're really talking about the two extremes of karmics in this particular reading. So as far as the advice and help, we have Rado. Now Rado in the upright is basically referred to as the blessed journey or the blessed journey. Basically anything dealing with mobility, car, wheels, carriage, chariot, airplane, boat, vehicle, anything dealing with traveling, vacations, relocations, a change of place or setting. Seeing the right move to make and deciding upon it. And of course it also refers to the ebbs and flows or the rhythm of the universe, of the world, and of the individual life. Okay? So, universal rhythms. Now, as far as the overall outcome, the future, in other words, we have Urus yet again. We had it twice, I think, yesterday as well. Now, Urus in the upright is the masculine energy. Okay? Remember, Ligus represents the feminine energy, basically. Okay? So what we have for Urus, as far as our future outcome, we're talking about strength, vitality, health, energy, power, courage, action, tenacity, sexual desire, masculine potency, untamed potential, freedom, understanding sudden changes, and forming of oneself. So what we're seeing here, basically, at least for somebody out there that's in this karmic energy or has been for some time, the few that apparently are having a change of heart, that it may require you giving up some things and some people in your life, moving away, running away, whatever the case may be. I can't say with a certainty, but it does say that travel, relocation, sudden change of location and things of that nature are definitely a part of this. And the overall future outcome when these certain types of sacrifices are made is the strength, vitality, health, energy, courage, action, tenacity, sexual desire, all of those types of things. So that's not to say that everybody who runs away from something is going to be rewarded for something. That's not what it means. This is talking about literally having to give up something that was important to somebody for quite some time. And that could be a family, that could be a relationship, a spouse. It could even be children in some cases. I mean, if something is no longer working in your best interests, I mean, and that would be speaking, of course, if you are walking in the light, and this is somehow keeping you from your journey or forward progress in your journey, or they are draining you of all of your life force because they refuse to do the work and they expect you to do it for them. Again, this is one of those hard life lessons, especially for empaths to learn. We want to help and we want to heal the world, but we cannot do that unless we have the energy and that we are walking ourselves healed. If we give all of our energy away freely to everybody who would vampirize it, then we'll never, well, one, we're not in the situation or the place yet spiritually in our maturity levels to be able to do that. And again, this is why that lesson has to be taught. But that doesn't mean we don't feel it. We do. Okay? But we have to learn to be strong and when to give and when not to give. And other people are just now learning that sometimes this life is more than just taking what you want, taking from other people, instead of getting it by your own merits and stuff like that, which we see through the karmic energies described often. They don't play by the same rules or anything like that, and that may help them to, get some of the things that they feel are important in this life in terms of materialism. But it always comes back in the end. It will always bite you in the ass, and that's just the way that it works, man. So with that being said, it's a short read, but it's pretty much straight to the point. It gives us both extremes as far as the karmic energy is concerned. It reminds the collective to use their intuition, to learn to trust it, to go within and to start, practicing this. It's a skill and it has to be practiced, right? Because of all the energies that are around us. Things are changing in this world, in this universe. And there is a division that's taking place as a result of that. You'll have low vibrational reality, if you will, and then you're going to have the higher plane of higher vibrating individuals. So not everybody's going to be able to come along with us on this journey, and that's the way that it is. It may be sad for all of us. We're going to give up people that we felt were meant to be with us or we were meant to be around during this journey, but that's not the way that it always works, okay? So as warriors and everything else, it's fine to mourn that loss, but we have to do and realize, of course, those things which are truly important, and of course that's our own evolution, our own growth, and that doesn't, I know it may seem selfish, but it's really not. It's the greatest form of love. You have to love yourself. It's a form of authenticity. Before you can love another, you have to learn how to love yourself, and it's just a fact, okay? Otherwise, you're just simply you're being weak-willed. You're allowing yourself to be vampirized. You don't put up a fight. You don't draw the lines. You don't learn the lessons. You feel that you're doing good by simply allowing somebody to suck the life force right out of you, and that's not good. And it's not the way that God himself sees, that particular act. So we have to learn basically where that line is, and we have to be strong and bold in our assertions in terms of our boundaries. We have to have boundaries. I had a friend. I haven't talked to her in some time, but she kind of taught me a few things about boundaries and the importance of that. Before that, I was more easygoing than I probably should have been in some ways. Don't get me wrong, I didn't put up with everybody's shit, but in the other side of that, I was always willing to, see the good in people. And I think it's a much better place. It's a healthier place, and it's my perspective only. You have to come to your own conclusions of what is and is not healthy for you. But if it in any way takes away from you, or if you're not actually being who you truly, truly are, then, well, you're being dishonest, and you're not walking in authenticity, which means you're still having to learn certain lessons. And sometimes people who are walking in a karmic lifestyle and everything else are the ones that end up teaching us these realities, I mean, going through this turmoil, and again, it's like anything else, that wounds us or cuts us open or breaks us in some way. As that wound heals, it becomes harder to wound that same spot yet again. You build up calluses or, other things, in terms of where the bone was broken originally, and so on and so forth, to make it harder to break in that very same place again. So, and that's the way spiritual lessons are also more or less looked at, for lack of a better way of describing it. We have to go through those hurts and those pains. Once we learn those lessons, then it's harder to hurt us in that same way again. Presumably. I can't say that's the way it is for everybody, but hopefully once you've learned the lesson, you are not so quick to repeat it again. Okay, so that's all we have for today, you guys. So as always, I wish you all victory, of course, and in the very, very distant future, I will see you all in Valhalla. Take care.